Good day, this is Dennis, and today we review EQE SUV 350. This car already became a bestseller in the premium cars for export from China, and I would like to tell you today some details about this car because I really love it. I would like to own it, and at the same time this car has the most quantity of, let's say, small problems, bugs and contradictions which I ever met in any car. Let's go to the review.
I think I got a vendetta. Oh, now they call me, I seen them. All of those times getting severed. I told them all I get let up. They get not tired of me never. Give me a shot and I swear I shoot like Berettas.
This car is built on the EVA platform, the most modern platform from Mercedes Benz which they have for today, and among others EQE EQS SUV built on the same platform as well, using a lot of similar components. Here we have the best-selling car in China on this platform because it's a moderate size, good equipment and moderate price after the discounts. The car is 4.88 meters long, the wheelbase is more than 3 meters, which is extremely large wheelbase, and that's why in top versions they have steering of the rear axle. And also the car is very wide, it is more than 2 meters, I think 2 meters and 3 centimeters or something like that. And the most complicated are the versions of this car because there were a lot of model range changes during just 1 year of production, and in general you may have up to 15 versions of this car. But the main versions are just 4. It is EQE SUV basic car and EQE SUV top car, it's called luxury, and also EQE SUV 500 and 500 top edition. This exactly car is 350 top edition, luxury edition. The basic car will not have these small logos of Mercedes-Benz on this plastic fake grille, and also the basic car will not have the 20-inch wheels, it will have 19-inch wheels, and all the other versions have 20-inch wheels but of different design. Matrix headlight is also not available for the versions 350, and they can be found only in the 500 top version, but these lights are LED lights and they're quite nice. 350 basic will not feature the HUD, and some of the versions will not feature the adaptive cruise control system, depends on the model year, but in 2024 they have the adaptive control cruise system. In terms of characteristic, it will be similar cars. In 350 we have 292 horsepower and 765 Newton meters of torque with acceleration from 0 to 100 in 6.8 seconds. The battery for all versions is same, it's 96 kilowatt hours battery, NMC chemistry, and the battery is supplied by Funeng Technology. It's traditional supplier for Mercedes-Benz and BAIC in China. And it's a 400 volt platform. Actually, it's very low voltage car. It's 328 volts of actual voltage. And basically, of course, it's not good for the fast charging of the car. That's why Mercedes-Benz planning to change the EVA platform to 800 volts in the nearest 1 or 2 years. Let's go to the version EQE SUV 500 basic, and before it had the adaptive cruise control system in all the versions without any extra price, but in 2024 no, there is no adaptive cruise control system, just normal. In EQE SUV 500 we have much more power, despite the motors are totally the same provided by Siemens, and they give in 500 version 408 horsepower, which makes the acceleration from 0 to 100 in just 5.9 seconds, and it is the same fast as the EQC 400, which we recently made the video of that car, and I would ask you to look at that video because generally these cars are a little similar and there is something you could compare. The suspension in this car is fully aluminum double wishbone front suspension and multi-link suspension in the rear. And now I want to tell you the main differences between the European EQE SUV and Chinese EQE SUV. In China we do not have the single motor version, but in Europe we have. In China we do not have the AMG version S63 or something, but in Europe we have, with acceleration from 0 to 100 less than 4 seconds. And also before, until April 2024, we didn't have the air suspension in China. But 1 month ago they started to do it for the 500 top version. The rest of the differences between the versions is in the interior, but I would like first to start about the door handles. The door handles are crazy beautiful. Here we have the lighting on the counter of the door handles, and the lighting reflects from this chrome trim perfectly beautifully, but the handles itself, you see, they are not very rigid, not very solid, and the power you have to put sometimes is too high. I'm still not too used to it. Inside this car is fantastically beautiful. Look at this design, look at this everything. On the seats we do not have natural leather, it's faux leather, and only in the top version you can add natural leather for 20,000 RMB, which is almost 3,000 United States dollars. But we have the natural leather on the steering wheel, but we don't have the heating of the steering wheel. In any of the version you have to add extra 400 USD for the steering wheel heating. Here we have the optional system Burmester Audio, and this system is by default in the top versions, but here in this version you need to pay extra 10,000 RMB, which is about $1,500 to get it, and it is one of the best sounding systems I've ever heard, despite it has only 15 speakers. We always have the electric seat adjustment for the front seats. We always have the seat heating for the front passengers, but we do not have the ventilation. For the ventilation, you need to add 7,000 RMB, which is 1,000 USD, and it's extremely crazy price for China, where seat ventilation you can meet in some very cheap cars as well. Here we have the multi-layered soundproof glass. The sound insulation of this car is extremely good, but all other glass is just normal here. In this version, we have the small central control screen with 12.8 inches of very good quality. Is this OLED matrix, and in version 500 we have the 17.7 inch screen, which is much bigger, and in the top version of 500 we have the hyper screen, which has 3 screens. Here will be one more for the passenger, and all of that will be covered by a huge glass. It looks super futuristic, but in that case we do not have this nice wood trim. The menu is taken from all the cars of Mercedes Benz like EQC. It's basically totally same, but there are no more physical buttons anymore, only this one, and this is a whole sensor panel which also can be pressed. And I regret we don't have physical buttons here anymore, because of course it's much more convenient to use the scrolling button for changing sound and so on. In the system we have all the languages, which is typical for Mercedes Benz in China. We have Polish, Russian, Turkish, Arabian languages, English, and of course Chinese. And also we have the wireless CarPlay, which is a huge advantage of this car. And the control gauge we have with different types of design like this. It can be classical, sport, it can be navigation assistance or off-road screen, and in the off-road we have the indicated angle of the turning of the front wheels, and also we have the compass. And here in service menu we can do some service operations, such as default the tire pressure monitoring system, which is presented in this car. This car features one of the most beautiful ambient lighting which I know, with 64 colors. All the versions of this car have electrically openable panoramic sunroof, which actually opens for only about 30% of the space, but we also have the sunshade, electrically sunshade. And I should complain about the quality of the glass of this panoramic sunroof, because other Chinese cars usually have the thermal glass, which do not allow the sun to hit you, but in this car I feel how much it heated even through the closed sunshade. The second row is one of the best parts of this car. I really adore it. I would pay money to sit here, so fine I feel. We have the flat floor, and the floor is very low. I sit very high and I feel super comfortable. The seat cushion is super comfortable as well. A lot of space for my knees, a lot of space for my head. Ergonomically everything is perfect. The disadvantages are like this: the angle of the backrest is not so perfect. It could be a little bit bigger. Also, we don't have any entertainment here. Only in the top version 500 you can add the 2-zone climate control for the rear passengers. In all other versions it is impossible. Here you have the small pocket or something like that. Here you have the buzz button for the front passenger seat, and here we have the armrest, which already have some problem with plastic, because this part is not opening, and it's basically a new car with only 6,000 kilometers done. But still, I feel extremely pleasant to be here. EQE SUV is a very practical car. Tailgate in all the versions has electric opening, closing, induction opening, and position memory. Here we have the perfectly sized luggage compartment. It's a square size with very good finishing. Here we have very nice carpet. Here we have stainless steel, same quality as it was in EQC 400. Nothing is cracking, everything is extremely solid. Also, we have 520 liters in this configuration, and if we fold the rear seats, we will have more than 2,000 liters and almost flat bed here. Under the floor, we also have this extremely huge niche with about, I think, 70 to 80 liters of capacity. Here we have the shelf, and the size of this trunk I will tell you in the info review right now. Okay guys, and now I will tell you about disadvantages and bugs of this car. The first thing, we have the keyless access and keyless start, and when I sit in this car I want to put the drive system, but I cannot do it because you have to press this button, start engine. I don't know why, but okay, it's okay. We press it and we put D and nothing happens, because the time of reaction of the system is much longer. It's about 2 seconds, and only after 1-2 seconds I can put the D mode. Okay, the steering console of the panoramic sunroof is not logical. Sometimes it works from the first time, sometimes from the 5th time, sometimes you push it backwards, it goes forward, and so on. I totally don't understand the logic of its working. And let's see the quality of this plastic. It's my small finger, and it's all like this. Everything is not solid. Everything is just like a jellyfish, like here. Can you see? It's just small finger, and everywhere we have like that. Look at this sound, by the way. It's all cracking sound. Everywhere is cracking sound, here and there. And this wood, it also has the cracking sound. And here we also has cracking sound. And these panels made of something very low quality with with extremely cracking noise. And the problem is, it's not when I push it. The problem is when you're driving it, you hear the same. The sound installation of the car is one of the best I've ever tried. I don't hear the cars, I don't hear the birds, I don't hear the tires, but I hear the cracking sound of plastic in the interior. It's totally awful. The system of the car is not good as well. Yesterday I connected my phone and the system started to calling someone, I don't know why, and I could not finish the calling for 7 minutes. It was just blocked. The red button of canceling the phone call was just blocked for 7 minutes. And this is not all the problems I've met in this car. When I was charging yesterday at the charging station, I opened this door and the charging suddenly stopped. And I thought it's some coincidence, maybe problem with charging station, but I did it 4 times and 4 times it stopped charging. I have no idea why like that, which bug can be that the door is connected with the charging. Now we look at the quality of the body of this car. Now, all the body is made of aluminum, all the parts you can disassemble from the car by unscrewing, like hood, like these fenders, like the doors made of aluminum. The crate of the car made of steel with thin coating, so it means galvanized steel, very good. Here we have steel, also galvanized steel. This fender, it's a part of the crate, and look at this gap. You see, it's about 3 millimeters, and it looks like the door is not closed, not fully closed, but actually it is fully closed. Just look at this gap here. Moreover, here we have even bigger gap. Here it is maybe 4 millimeters. Look at it here. You see? And here one more gap. The tail light is not actually passed well with this part. And let's look here on this part of the tailgate. It's moving by just 1 finger. It looks like not fixed, but the car is basically new, it's 6,000 kilometers. And the gap here between the roof and this part is about 3 millimeters to that side, and here it's to different side, also even maybe 5 millimeters. This is the quality of Mercedes-Benz now, and let's look more. Here in the wheel niche we have some electric connector which is totally not protected from mud or from water. From the other side we have exactly same one. I don't know what it is responsible for, but I understand that it will be rotten in maybe 3 or 4 years for sure. Unfortunately, we still have more problems, because yesterday we had a fault code about the 12-volt battery in this car, and it's actually in perfect condition. The service station told that it is no problem, it's common for this car, and studying the Chinese forums, TikTok, it showed that actually some buyers have it after 2 days of using this car. One more thing is this very silly door pedals, which I don't know how to use because the car doesn't have so big ground clearance actually, and it means that if I step on them, it's even less comfortable for me to get out. I don't know how to use it, but if I step directly on the floor, actually I hit my leg with this part, and this is probably just for design, but it's not practical and it's not convenient. The bottom of the car is totally flat, the level of protection of the bottom is very good, and the ground clearance is 190 millimeters under the whole car. One more weird feature connected with this system. They made adding the washing fluid right here, and it's super convenient. I like this feature, but because they did it like that, they say we don't need to open the hood. But in fact, of course, you can open the hood, and you need to take this cover off, which is of extremely bad quality and not convenient to take out, and everything this made of very bad plastic, everything like that. Then we need to open this arm, and we can go under the huge aluminum hood, which is totally useless, because under that they didn't make any front anything, and they didn't even make any fixation to fix it in open position. The serviceman should have some special stuff to do it, some special things. Here we have just air filter and nothing more, a lot of unused space. So this is the case when you wanted to do something good, but basically you made something weird. Okay friends, I told you everything I know about this car, and now it's time to make a test drive. I'll try to transfer all my emotion and thoughts about how this car drives. Let's go. What you should know about the car. First of all, I feel very not typical ergonomy of how I sit here, and very small windshield, which already after 2 days of using I'm totally used to. The front panel is very high, and that's why the windshield is actually small, and because it's very high I can adjust my seat extremely low. Just look here, now I'm in the lowest position, and this part of the panel are on the same level as my nose, which is something I haven't met in cars maybe for ages. In 1960s cars you had something like that. But anyway, the view in the mirrors, view in the rear view mirror, view through the windows is extremely good. You feel the car quite nice despite it's very wide car and it's very big car. And the very interesting thing is about the power, because the 2 motors here are from the much more powerful version, and here they are restricted electronically, but they restricted it in a special way. You have still a lot of power in the lower range of power, in the lower range of revolutions per minute, but after 80-90 kilometers per hour basically you have very low power. It's totally not EQC 400 with 408 horsepower. We cannot call this car fast, yet at the same time you have always enough power when you are below 100 kilometers like this. The suspension is a cruise style suspension. Even when I push the acceleration down, you see we have the nose goes up as in a yacht, in a boat. Generally, I like how the suspension deal with the bumps, especially with the smaller one, but with the speed restrictors and speed limiters, actually it deals not so perfectly, but still okay. And I want to tell several words about the consumption. I drive now too fast, but when you drive normally, the consumption is moderate. The consumption can be below 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. It means that basically you can drive 400 to 500 kilometers per charge with your 96 kilowatt hours battery. And I really like the steering wheel. First of all, how it's finished, its thickness is perfect, its material is perfect, and I like how transparent the steering itself is. I can do this and I feel I totally control this car, which weighs 2.5 tons without any problem, but of course it's a not sport car. EQC 400 was a much more sportive car, and the character of driving of it after 100 kilometers became even bigger, and this car is aimed at the speeds, at the city speeds, much lower than 100 kilometers per hour for sure. Also, you have the imitation of the sound of combustion engine in this car, and the speaker is somewhere between the rear wheels. It means when you hear it, it's quite nice and it gives you a feeling of a real exhaust. I don't know if you can turn off it, I couldn't find it, but I don't want to turn off. I like how it works. Currently we'll do the acceleration from 0 to 100. You will see that this car will be pretty fast until about 70 kilometers per hour. Right now it's fast, and now it's not so fast. Now basically it's just step by step, like low power car, and after 120 we don't have power at all. Completely not like EQC 400. The sound insulation of the car is perfect, one of the best I've ever experienced, but unfortunately due to very good outside sound insulation you sometimes hear the cracking sound from the plastic, which I already mentioned before. But generally, believe me, this car is extremely nice to drive, and this car gives you some feeling of wellness and some feeling that you're still in something more valuable, that you're inside a more valuable car than other people on the road. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, I would really like to own it and drive it for everyday use. Thank you everyone who watched until this moment. As you see, I tried to be extremely friendly. I told you about many problems from the real owners of this car, about problems which I met in this car by myself. And anyway, I must say that pleasure and satisfaction from owning it and driving it is much bigger than all these minor bugs and disadvantages which I told to you. This car has good range, has good acceleration, it has extremely beautiful interior, it has very roomy space and a great feeling of Mercedes-Benz high-class car, and the price is 2 times lower than actually in Europe, so finally it's also a bargain. If you need to know more, if you want to know more about the cars, please follow my channel.